Hello, my name is Rochelle, and the purpose of this video is to review how to graph in 2 dimensions. So we're going to be graphing here on this Cartesian coordinate system as you see it. And let's just review that the horizontal axis is called the x-axis, and the vertical axis is called the y-axis. And we can divide this system here into 4 quadrants. We can see one, up here. That's quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 is over here. Quadrant 3, we label these in a counterclockwise manner, which only really makes sense once we get to trig. But all we're going to do here is we're going to review how to plot some points, and then we're going to review how to graph a line. So let's get rid of that. So we are going to plot these points right here on this Cartesian coordinate system. So we want to remember that every ordered pair that we see here, or coordinate point, like 4, 3, is written with the x value first and the y value second. So my x value here is going to go along this x-axis, so I'm going to go over 4, and my y value is going to go in the positive direction, or up 3. So this point that I get right here is my point 4, 3. And I could just label it with an A if I wanted to. So let's quickly try to do the same thing here. So we've got -2 for our x. That means we're going to go left 2, and then we're going to go up 5. And so that's going to give me my point -2, 5, or we could just label that as B. Oftentimes our zeros give us a little bit of confusion, but we'll notice that my y value here is not 0, it's my x. So if I look at y, where y might be equal to -4, that's happening right here. And my x is equal to 0, so because I haven't gone to the right or to the left at all. So this is my point C. Whereas this point here has only an x value. Whoops, I guess I reversed my colors. Only an x value of 5. And so this would be point E, or 5, 0. And lastly, let's just plot -2, -1. That's going to be in our third quadrant. -1, -2. Now, if we go backwards here, we're going to have to label points. So we're going to look at some points on the graph and try and go backwards. So here I see that this point is to the right 3, excuse me. I could look at that right down here. And it has gone up, whether I want to look at it over here, 4. So that's going to be the point 3, 4. B is going to be to the right 4 and then down 3, which would be -3. Point C is over here on the x-axis, so that is -4, 0. Point D is over here in the second quadrant at -2, 5. And E is down here on the y-axis at 0, -5. Now we're going to move on to graphing a linear function or a line. And so this line that we have right here is written in what we call standard form. AX plus BX Y equals a number, okay, or C. So one way, if it's written like this, is we can just find 2 points that are on that line. 2 of the easiest points are the x and y intercepts. To find the x-intercept, all we do is we set y equal to 0. So we're going to take this equation here, and in place of the y, we're going to plug in 0. And that would go away, and so I'd be left with 4x equals 8, or x equals 2. So that means since y is equal to 0 and x is equal to 2, I would have a point right here of 2, 0. Conversely, to find the y-intercept, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to set x equal to 0. So if I did that, I would have 4 times 0 minus 2y equals 8. This would go away, And so I would have negative y, 2y equals 8. And if I divide by negative 2, I'm going to get negative 4. Remember, my x value was 0 and my y value is negative 4. So that's going to be on this y-axis here at 0, negative 4. And then once I have 2 points, since this is a line, all I really have to do is draw a line between those points. Wow, that is a poor line, but you get the idea. I should be able to use the ruler, but it seems like it just takes more time to do that, so I'm not going to do that. So the other way that we can graph the same line is get it into this form y equals mx plus b. Hopefully you've seen that for the equation of a line. If I want it in this form, you'll notice that y is by itself. So what I want to do is all I'm going to do is get y by itself by solve. I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to take this equation and I want to get y by itself, which means I need to get rid of this 4x on both sides. Now that would leave me with negative 2y equals 8 minus 4x. But again, I wanted mx plus b. So I'm actually going to take that and I'm just going to reorder the right side. So I'm going to write that as negative 4x. Since there's no sign in front of the 8, we assume it's positive, plus 8. To finish this off, to get y by itself, I do need to divide both of these items by negative 2. So this is going to be y equals, now the negative 4 is going to have to be divided by the negative 2, and the positive 8 is going to have to be divided by the negative 2. This gives me 2x, and this gives me minus 4. Now, if you remember, the m is my slope, which is rise over run. And this here, my b value, 0b, is my y-intercept. So that means that 0, negative 4, is my y-intercept, which I had already found. And then my slope is 2 over 1, which means I'm going to go up in the positive direction 2, and I'm going to go in the positive direction 1. That's going to give me another point on the line. I could continue to do that and get more points on the line by simply going up 2 and over 1. But this is the same line that I drew before. Now I have a few more points, so it looks a little bit better. So let's try that one more time. Let's go ahead and graph another line. And so if we look here, my slope is negative 3 over 4, or 3 over negative 4, however we want to look at that. And my y-intercept is 0, negative 2. So first I go ahead and I plot that point 0, negative 2. Then I look at my slope. My slope says negative 3 over 4. So that's going to mean, since this is my rise, I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in the positive direction 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I thought of it the opposite way, 3 over negative 4, I would go up 3. So I would do the up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I would go in the negative direction 4 spaces. Now you will notice that these are all on the same line. I could have done the same thing up above. This had a positive slope, so I could have gone down negative 2, and then to the left, negative 1, which would have ended up with the same positive 2 slope. Now lastly, we also have lines that if you look at this one has a 0, right? There's no slope. So that means that we're going to plot this point, remember, 0, negative 4, and that's just going to look like a flat line. The slope is 0. So we're going we're not going up at all, but we're going over. Now, x equals 5 is a little bit different. When we graph that line, that means x equals 5 everywhere. And if I graph this vertical line, x will equal 5 no matter what point I look at on that line. So that's a vertical line.